is Thursday, November 11th. November 14th. November 11th was a couple of days ago. Excuse me for that, getting the date wrong. But no, welcome in for Verticals Podcast, episode 50. There we go, the coveted 50 mark. 50 more episodes away from episode 100. Can't believe we're here. 50 episodes, and thank you guys so much. If you're subscribed to the channel or subscribed to the podcast feed, thank you so much. We are finally at 50. I wish I was at 50 subscribers, but we are at 50 episodes in. So I can't believe it. We're about 50 away from 100. What's up with that? Who would have thought we would ever make it to 50 episodes? And here we are, getting pretty close to that coveted 100 mark, which means we would be, if this was a TV show, we would be eligible for syndication in 50 episodes. So let's keep this going. But yeah, welcome in. We are live, not only on we are live on YouTube right now. We are also recording for the podcast version as well. If you're new here, welcome in. We talk college football, Marvel, Star Wars news, which you do have some today, so we'll bring that in, and some Tampa Bay Buccaneers stuff. Even though the Bucs aren't playing this weekend, it's a bye week in early November. There's still a lot to talk about. We have midseason checkup, approval ratings for both the offense and defense, and head coach and Todd Bowles, and OC offensive coordinator Liam Cohen. So I'll go into that stuff. If you're new here again, welcome in. If you're a college football fan, Marvel fan, Star Wars fan, and maybe if you're just a Buccaneers fan, welcome in. Though I will admit, we don't cover the Buccaneers. Like, they're not the headline part of the show. We cover them towards the end. So I'm not like a traditional beat writer or a full-on Buccaneers-focused podcast. If you want that stuff, go to like the Cannon Fire podcast, Peter Report, places like that for full-on coverage of the team. But we do cover them here towards the end of the show when we can, especially during the season. We have like reactions to the game on Monday or whenever the game's played on Monday, Sunday. Traditionally, we have game previews, but since this time of the year when there's a bye week, there's nothing to really talk about that much, but we will do the midseason approval ratings here. Just happens to work out. I know last year it would have been kind of strange to do the midseason approval ratings like week 5, but this year it works out fine, so we're doing that today. Got college football upset alerts, upsets where they can happen. I'll go into that with my grading scale, or using the grading scale to look at certain games they have listed on here. And we'll also go over again some Marvel and Star Wars news, a Brent Brennan hot seat talk. Supposedly that's out there. We'll get into that. And a South Carolina, Missouri preview. So again, if you want to listen to all this stuff, if you're new here, if that sounds enticing to you, subscribe. The button's right there. It's somewhere on the YouTube channel as I am looking at it live right now. Going to hop in real quick here to say hey in the live chat. There I am. Hey, like I mentioned, if you're new here and that stuff entices you, if you're a fan of any of those things, then subscribe. The button's there. Hit it. Nothing happens. I don't come to your house or your apartment. I'll knock on the door going, hey, let me in. I have a form for you. Don't do that. I don't force you guys to sign up for anything. I don't force you guys to give me money. I don't show up to your house. I don't call your phone. I don't send you text messages. I don't send you emails. I don't send you fax. I don't send you letters in the mail. It's all free. If you subscribe to YouTube, that's all you have to do. If you hit the notification bell next to the subscribe button, you can get notifications when we go live. You don't have to, because I do that for you as well on Twitter. Also follow us on Twitter there as well at 4verts_pod, and subscribe to the podcast feed on Spotify. That is another place we've been there actually longer than YouTube. This is our 4th. Let me check here. Double check here, because I believe this is our 4th or 5th live show, I believe. Technically, it's our 4th live show. We did a extra pod for the Billy Napier news, him being retained. But technically, this is our 4th live show on YouTube. We've been doing 50 of these on Spotify. If you're new to the YouTube channel, we were doing some individual videos. We also posted our 2 first actual streams on there, and we also did some individual videos before and after that. So if you want to look at the history of the channel, go ahead. We've been around. The channel's actually been around since 2018. So this idea has been around since then. This summer was the first time I actually implemented it, actually doing a live show. Again, there's some old videos on there you can look at as well as sort of the I guess overall history of the channel, I guess, if you will. I think that's the right word. Yeah, channel history of the channel, sort of our humble beginnings. But yes, welcome in. Thursday shows are always pretty fun, jam packed as well. Going to check and see if the sound is working. So stand by as I log in and see if the sound is working, just to confirm. If you guys don't know, if you're new here, when we first originally wanted to do this, the sound didn't work. So hopefully it works. It's been working the last couple of times I've been checking. So here you may hear some feedback if you're listening to this live. If you're listening to this in the replay, this doesn't matter. Same with the Spotify version, but just to double check. Okay, so it is working. It's a little bit delayed too, from when I'm talking. It's kind of weird. It's delayed from when I'm talking versus when the actual YouTube live stream is. So it's kind of weird that I'm talking live. If you're listening to this again on the recorded, on the audio version or the version that's after the live show, don't worry about this. This is not really that relevant. But anyway, with all that being said, and welcome in, welcome in, welcome in. If you're alive, which is there's not many of you, there's like only one. Well, it was two because of me watching, or at least making sure the audio is working. But yeah, if you're listening to this on the replay version, hello. If you're listening to this or if you're listening to this live, hello. If you're listening to this on the podcast version, hello as well. So, got a loaded show today. Probably going to be a pretty long one, I would assume. Week 12 upset alerts. We do this every single Thursday. Upset alerts. I'm not going to go through the whole kit and caboodle. If you're new here, you know, or if you're not new here, you know. If you're new here, I'll give you guys a quick explainer. Every single Thursday, like most shows, we do a upset alert segment. And unlike other shows where they do the number rating system, we do the color rating system, which is the traffic light protocol. So you have red means upset's going to happen. Yellow means not really, but could happen. We're watching it. Green means I don't think there's much of a threat. So that's how it works. If you're new here, that's how it's breaking down. If you're not, then that's just a little bit of a refresher, even though we do it like once a week. So at least during the season, we do it once a week. During the spring and summer, we'll probably fill in some other topics in here. But we do this every single week. We've been doing this for how many shows? A whole lot. So we do this every single week, every single Thursday. We just go through some of these games. Week 12 is no different than any other week we've done this segment. And the first game up is an interesting one. Florida at LSU. Imagine what the spread is on this game based on where Florida is and where LSU is. Of course, LSU coming off that just total destruction on Saturday. Same with Florida. Both teams got blown out in the respective games. But, of course, you saw what Florida did. Injured quarterback DJ Lagway did not play. I think he's going to try to go this week. Not really sure about that. I think he is. Then you have LSU coming off a horrible performance, losing the game. Understandable. Matt picked him to win the game, so I'm not one of the few people who actually did. Besides, maybe if you live in like Reform, Alabama, or Livingston, Alabama, you may pick Alabama to win the game. I'm pretty sure you did. Having a go with Florida, you may have, but I actually did. I don't even live in the state of Alabama. I live in Florida. But so imagine the spread here. Thinking, okay, so LSU coming off of embarrassing loss. They're in wounded tiger mode. What do you think the spread is? 13.5, 14.5, 28.5, 45.5? It's actually neither. It is actually, according to FanDuel, not a sponsor of the show, by the way. And no, this is not me giving you guys betting advice, just for prediction purposes and whatnot. We use the FanDuel number to sort of gauge how Vegas feels. The number on this game is 4.5. Nothing's wrong with the audio. I just let you guys sort of take that in here for a couple seconds, because I'm pretty sure your minds just blew. That this game, where Florida is and where LSU is, it's minus 4.5. This, to me, signals, at least to the odds makers, that they believe DJ Lagway is going to play. That's just my personal opinion. I don't know if that's been confirmed or not. I probably should have checked that. But if the line's 4.5, and how people feel about Florida in the power ratings world, that if DJ Lagway is starting, they're power rated they're in the list of top 25 teams. I'm not going to go and defend people who do power ratings. I'm just telling you that's how it works. It's not that unusual for a team's record in the power ratings world to not make sense if you're ranking teams. So Florida with DJ Lagway is a top 25 team. They're in a list of 25 teams who are favored over who on a neutral field. The spread reflects that. Florida's a very talented team. if DJ Lagway is playing. If he's not playing and it's the kid from Yale, then they're in some trouble because you saw the game last week and you saw how bad it was. I was watching it at a Buffalo Wild Wings and it was very demoralizing to have. Of course, I live in the state of Florida and it was like the featured game there. Pretty demoralizing that a game ending in a pretty just overall splattering was plastered over the TV screens of that bar. I mean, unless you're a sadistic like me, you watch it anyway, or a sicko. But I don't expect this game to be that much like that if DJ is playing. I think this will be competitive. I think LSU's probably win the game. I think they're getting in Wounded Tiger mode. Last week was what was last week. They're embarrassed. Obviously, there's a lot of other things going on too with the recruitment of the quarterback right now and whatnot. And Michigan's definitely making a push there for Bryce Underwood. By the way, recruiting season's been. I wasn't going to put it in the show today because I don't know if I have enough time to get into it, but I'm sure other shows will. Hint, hint, wink, wink. We'll cover that. But the Bryce Underwood recruitment is getting pretty real. A lot of flips to Ole Miss signing a pretty highly recruited player. A couple other stuff coming in there in the recruiting world. But for LSU on the field, this is often an opportunity to get yourself off the deck. Again, you're in Wounded Tiger mode. You want to, if you're an LSU fan, you live in like Patterson, Louisiana, or New Orleans, whatnot, you don't want to see your team get off the deck, right? And get themselves back up. They play back to the level they should be playing at. This is one of those games that you wanted to happen. But the problem is, though, if DJ Lagway is playing, that number of possibilities could be here for results. Florida could win the game outright. LSU could win, but Florida covers, or LSU wins the game and they cover slightly. I'm watching it. I'm not calling the upset, but I'm watching it. It's a code yellow. I'm just watching it, paying attention to it. I'll be watching. Like all these games, I'll be watching. Colorado, Utah, interesting game here. Now, the spread on this game, imagine what the spread is, because you saw BYU, Utah, fun game. I know there's a lot of controversy towards the end there. In fact, even Utah's AD calling out the Big 12. Can the Big 12 league office? Now, of course, if you don't know, when coaches do that or anyone does that, ADs, I guess, too, you get fined for doing that publicly. Now, most of those guys don't care because that's like you're losing like a couple dollars, so it's not that big of a deal, but it is a rule. If you call the officials, you have to pay for it for some reason, and I don't understand why, but it's just the way it is. It's just what the rules are. So you saw that game last week, wild finish. You saw the Colorado Texas Tech game, pretty impressive win for Colorado too. Pretty impressive. Texas Tech's not a bad team. So now you have both these teams coming in. It's a rivalry game. The spread is Colorado minus 11.5 according to FanDuel. This is an interesting game. Again, I'm watching it. I'm not going to sit here and say I think the upset's going to happen. Colorado is a much better team than Utah, clearly, because Utah, I mean, for all intents and purposes, Cam Rising's dead. And he's not literally dead, but he kind of is. It's on the road. Big new kickoff beater. I believe, is this the game that, Gus Johnson and Joel Klatt will be there. So this will be a 10 a.m. kickoff. How about that? What's up with that, right? 10 a.m. kickoffs, that's usual, right? Or that's normal, right? I don't know what I was trying to say there, but for Utah, I mean, like I mentioned, Cam Rising, for all intents and purposes, he's dead. None of these games that they've lost have been blowouts at all. The only one, maybe Arizona, which we'll touch on them later with the Brent Brennan rumors. But if they've lost 5 games in a row after starting 4-0, like it has been pretty desperate up there. They're wanting a big win. It's on the road. It's a rivalry game. Obviously, Colorado has been a good story. Like I mentioned last week, I'll be honest, I was wrong on them. I thought them getting rid of Sean Lewis was stupid. I thought them, some changes they were making, like bringing in, Pat Shermer, a former NFL coach who failed. I was wrong on that. Learn my lesson on that. Usually I'm not that vocal about coaches, but it's just some stuff I was hearing, at least in industry-wise, when they let go. When Colorado let go, Sean Lewis had all I expect for. Sean Lewis is a very good coach, very good offensive mind. Did some great stuff at Kent State. Just a place to, obviously now you're watching the MAC. Kent State's pretty bad. I think last night, or was it a couple nights ago, it may have been last night too, they took the first lead in a game in almost a calendar year. So that tells you how bad Kent State is and how good it was under Sean Lewis. And again, Sean Lewis is not an idiot. Originally, at the time, I thought Dion made a very questionable choice. Certainly something I was shirking a chin of. Give him benefit of the doubt. I was going to see how it worked out. It's worked out, and I was wrong about it. They are doing some things they haven't done since 2016, which is being played for a conference championship game. By the way, when that happened, they were back in the Pac-12, so that tells you how long ago that was. So this is interesting game here. It's a rivalry game again. Utah very desperate for a big win. Colorado, they're surging. They're in takeoff mode. Talk about that with a lot of teams. Tennessee's one of them. Bama's sort of one of them right now. Colorado's definitely one. Someone's calling me. I don't know who this is. It's a 251. They should know better to call me on the live show. How about that? We're live right now, and they I don't know who that is, but they should know better. If you're listening to this on the replay or on the podcast version, it doesn't matter. But yeah, someone was calling me. It's probably one of those stupid fake numbers. I think all of us get those as time of true. But anyway, as I was mentioning before, I was brutally interrupted by a 251 number. If you're calling, you know who you are. So Colorado's in one of those teams right now. They're in takeoff mode. You know, Shedeur and Travis Hunter playing real well. Warren Sapp, he's having those guys. He's the defensive line coach there, or one of the. I think he is the defensive line coach. But man, they're playing pretty well. Of course, under him, you would expect that because of his history being in the NFL. But they're a team that's in takeoff mode. Shedeur's playing well. The Pat Shurmur offense is actually working. A little bit surprised by that, given Pat's history in the NFL. We'll see how long this can go. Very excited. Colorado, very interesting team. The polarizing team, I'll admit. But with the team we're structured right now, they're 7-2. They have a lot of. They probably will be in Dallas for the Big 12 championship game. I know that's to chagrin a lot of people, but it's a reality. I'm excited to see what that looks like. It'll be a very amazing spectacle. I'll say that. I mean, having Dion there and probably see a lot of major celebrities will be there. It's in Dallas too, so I would imagine a lot of Cowboy players will be there. Former players will probably be there. Michael Irvin will probably be there. So I mean, just imagine as a pure spectacle, be incredible. So it's there for them, and they needed to continue to win. And this is one of those games that we've seen this year in college football in a very wild year, albeit though it's not 07 level insane, but it's a few pegs down below that. Excuse me, there, a little burp, hiccup there. That an upset here could happen. So I'm watching it. I don't think it's going to happen. I was realistically going to put this out of green, but out of respect for what Kyle Whittingham's done there, yes, it's been a bad season. Yes, Cam Rising, for all intents and purposes, quote unquote, he basically died. I just can't. It's Kyle Whittingham. It's Utah. They're the model of consistency, both in the Pac-12 and now the Big 12. Well, I guess that was the Pac-12. At least this year in the Big 12, it's been bad. Granted, again, it's injuries and it's just not been good enough for them this year. And it's been a rough year. They could really use a big win. Don't know if it's really going to come here, but we're watching it. We'll see. But they have won the game since September 21st. And that was against Oklahoma State, who, by the way, is just equally as bad. The Big 12 standings, by the way. Of course, Arizona we'll talk about. The three worst teams in the Big 12 right now. The three ones that are just really bad. Arizona, we'll talk about them later. Utah, Oklahoma State. Gross. Obviously, I mean, I look, Matt Gunny's not getting fired. He's been the model of consistency there. Obviously, this year is an extreme outlier. Been interested to see what changes they make over there. Obviously, we won't know until for a little bit, but obviously they're probably focused on next year. Much like Florida State, I actually was going to mention the Florida State OC search. I'm not going to. I was going to, but I'm not because Florida State's not really relevant. And plus, coaching searches are that's a whole other thing. Trust me, I'll address that when a actual coaching opening happens. But Florida State, Oklahoma State, this whole Oklahoma State story too has been kind of overshadowed by the Florida State thing. Like Oklahoma State, they had their first losing season over in about 15 years, I believe. So this is a pretty rare era for Oklahoma State. Again, used to be the model of consistency. Now this year is what it is, but just tough there. Oklahoma State, I can't even fathom it. They're probably going to be a winless team in the Big 12. Never thought I would ever see that. Never in my wildest dreams would I ever think that would ever happen. So that's pretty insane. But I say all that to say, Colorado, Utah, it's a Cody Yellow. I'm watching it. Don't think an upset's really going to happen, but we'll see. We'll see what happens. Arkansas, Texas. Texas is a favorite, according to FanDuel, minus 13.5. This one, same, Cody Yellow. Don't really feel too threatened here. Arkansas, the horrible pass defense. Texas, the best, one of the best pass offenses in the country. That's kind of all you need to know. So I would expect Quinn Ewers to get, is it Ewers or Ewers? I think it's Ewers. I don't know why I've been calling him Ewers, but Quinn Ewers to get his yards. If Arkansas were to pull this off, if Arkansas were to somehow muster some Fayetteville Razorback magic, they just need Taylor Green to have a big game. If it can happen, certainly. Diego Paviak sort of had that. I guess Carson McNaught really has a little more of a Georgia defense type thing. But it can happen. Bobby Petrino, I mean, look, everyone thought Sam Pittman was on the hot seat. He's not. Now, of course, the Ole Miss game and the results of this game are sort of going to dampen, sort of change the temperature there just a little bit now. And I think he's fine. I don't think he's going anywhere. But it'll be nice. It'll be really nice to have another big win for Sam Pittman and company. And this would be another opportunity. Games like this are sneaky. These games are sneaky. Now, of course, I say that, and Texas can go in there and they run away, and it's a total splattering. But I'm just saying that's sneaky, despite the fact that right now is it rifle season there in Arkansas? Of course, that is a real factor too. That's not just me and other people being funny when we say that, but it is a factor, especially with attendance. And I'm sure ESPN and ABC and Disney are loving the fact that a potentially half-empty Razorback Stadium is going to be on their airwaves. I'm sure they're thrilled about that. But like I said, it'll be nice. I'm watching it to Cody Yellow, but the matchups there are not don't favor Arkansas, especially with you're going against the best pass offense in the SEC versus one of the worst pass defenses in the country. So it doesn't bode well. This one real quick. Oregon at Wisconsin. Oregon minus 14.5. This one's also kind of sneaky. Now, I'm putting it at a code green, mainly because Oregon has been the most consistent team in the country right now. They just have. Every single time I pick them to either lose the game outright or just have a close game, they surprise me. So why should I think any different in picking this game to be a code red? Well, I'm not going to, because every time I've done that, I've been proven wrong. So my working theory is maybe if I put this at a code green, Oregon loses the game. And I believe this is at Wisconsin, right? Let me double check. I should know this, but unfortunately I don't. I'm pretty sure this is a situation where it is on the road. Yes. I was correct on that. It's on the road. Last road game for Oregon. It's on NBC. It's a 4:30 Pacific, 7:30 or 6:30 Central. And then they have Washington. They actually have a bye week, and then they have Washington at home. I should just realize that. But yeah, it's a code green. So hopefully my reverse psychology works here, because I'm, again, as someone who's a sicko and kind of a college football sadistic, I kind of love when teams lose, especially good teams, unranked teams. I don't know. It's just something. I have a warm spot in my heart for major upsets. I just love chaos happening, especially when a highly ranked team loses to an unranked team. So hopefully my reverse psychology works here, and if it does work, then who knows? I mean, look, it's Camp Randall, and hey, by the way, if any of those social media teams over there in Madison are watching the show, which is, look, I'm pretty sure they're not, but if someone were to find this show and clip it, use those in those media hype videos, Josh Pate talked about it, and the Cover 3 guys have also, I believe, been featured as well in some of those. JD Piquel over at On 3's been on there, used multiple times. But it's Camp Randall on a Saturday night. It's the jump around. It's, winter basically up there right now. So, and look, even as bad as Wisconsin has been, they've gotten better. I've mentioned this a couple weeks ago. They're a team that you shouldn't really leave for dead. Yes, the Penn State game happened. They've been struggling. But I'm just telling you, if an upset were to happen, this is one of those games. I'm putting it out of code green, but it's Camp Randall on a Saturday night. I've never been here before, but Part of me is hoping it happens. I know realistically I probably won't, but I'm hoping my reverse psychology works here. It's a code green, but I'm still watching it. I will be watching them. The last game, yes, this is the last game. So Kansas BYU. What do you think the spread is? What do you think it is? 28 and a half, 45 and a half, 100 and a half, maybe 2 million and a half? It's actually not. It's actually pretty low. It's Kansas plus 2.5. So that means, yes, BYU is minus 2.5. Nothing's wrong for your audio. Again, I'm just giving you guys some time to react to that because I'm pretty sure your minds just blew if you're looking at BYU through the lens of a team in the rankings. Because if you imagine a team going against a pretty, I guess, a Kansas team that's been struggling, you lose Andy Kolnicki, Jalen Daniels can't seem to read the defense. Without him, it's almost like he got dumb overnight. I know that's not really what happened, but it looks like he kind of got dumb overnight after Kolnicki left. I know there's more to that. But you look at Kansas where they're at, they're 3-6, and BYU's undefeated. You would assume, looking at this from the lens of a, watching the playoff committee show, look at the AP poll and the coaches poll, like most of us, you probably think, oh yeah, Kansas, this should be like a 45-point spread. No. This to me, I think through a power rating lens, this makes sense. I know it doesn't make any sense to you, but it does to me. BYU, at most power ratings, I know Josh paid the exclusion and what is it, the immunity thing for BYU to have him in his power ratings. Everyone started complaining about it. I know in his heart of hearts and my heart of hearts, BYU is not a team. And a list of teams 1 through 25, you're listing teams out who'd be favored over who on a neutral field. BYU will not be in that list. He knows that. I know that. He only did that because I know a lot of you guys are complaining about it. Trust me, he knows like I do that that's not real. That's not, BYU will not be in that list. And this is one of those games too. I know a lot of you guys look at the FanDuel number and going, huh, that's got to be a typo. It's not a typo. So you can believe that how you will. It's Lance Leopold. That's a team right now that's sort of desperate for a win. A huge major win for them because it's been a hard year for them. Again, you lose Andy Kolnicki. You have Jalen Daniels who is struggling. It's a game that you circle and you go, it's a BYU team that in the power ratings rolled again. It does make sense to a lot of you guys, but again, it makes sense to me that they're not who you think they are. Yes, they're winning games, but it's a team that can be had. You had the Utah game last week. You had the game against Oklahoma State. You had the game against Kansas State, which was a bit of a mirage a little bit because, again, the turnovers and Kansas State is not a good team on the road. This is, the type of game. Because, by the way, they also have Arizona State coming up. And Arizona State's a sneaky team, too. So, it's sort of a local head spot. It's Kansas. I know a lot of folks still don't understand how good of a coach Lance Leopold is, despite the fact they're struggling this year. I don't care. I'm putting this game to code red. I'm very concerned. This spread, to me, when I saw this, I'll be honest, I had to take a second look at it, but then I ran to myself, well, yeah, in the power rating world, BYU is not a team that would be favored over a lot of teams. So this makes sense to me. This does. BYU minus 2.5. Very concerned here. So that's the upset segment here. And tonight I mentioned BYU's at home, so it's not like they're on the road. No. Even as a home team, they're minus 2.5, according to FanDuel. Interesting. Again, a lot of folks probably seen that number just today, probably going, Kansas is plus 2.5? Doesn't make any sense. Lay the money on BYU. Okay. Be careful. Just be careful. But yeah, that's the upset alert segment. Again, we don't use numbers or anything. We don't use the 1 to 10 scale. We use colors. So red means I feel pretty good about an upset happening. Though it could be wrong. Oregon's done that to me a couple times this year. But this one, I actually have a very sneaky suspicion on it. It's a sneaky game. So could ref for that one. The Oregon game, the Oregon-Wisconsin's a code green. Though part of me wishes the reverse psychology method works. And then the rest I mentioned are yellows. So I'm watching the other ones. The Oregon games, feel good about it. The part of me wishes it's a close game or a potential upset just for chaos to happen. And then the BYU game is a code red. So what I'm going to do, and the show's not over actually. I mean, we still have a long ways to go. A lot of topics here. Got South Carolina, Missouri preview. Brent Brennan hot seat rumors, some Marvel news, and some Star Wars news, and we'll do our Buccaneers midseason checkup plus mover rating. So before I get into all of that, I'm going to do my first water break. So again, if you're listening to us on the replay or live or on Spotify, there's no issue here with the audio. I'm just taking a little break, maybe like a 5-second break to get some water. Make sure the voice survives here because it has a tendency to go out after around 30 minutes. I think it's been going on for exactly 30. How about that? Ooh, I got some really good ice there in my water bottle today. So usually I don't usually eat the ice, but today we are. Make sure the voice survives. By the way, I mentioned this before I forget. The tropical system in the southern Caribbean, southwestern Caribbean. It's now a tropical storm now, so it has a name. Um, Models have really shifted. So I mentioned on Tuesday I was going to let you guys know about shows next week. It looked like it was going to be another midweek impact, and that meant probably moving some shows around. I don't think that's the case anymore. It's going to be going over Central America, which historically is a very mountainous area, and a lot of tropical systems there go to die. It's going to move into the Caribbean. I mean, the southern, southwestern Gulf. It will eventually make it over to Florida, but I'm not too concerned about it right now. So at the moment, next week looks fine. I don't think we're going to move some shows around, but I figured I'll let you guys know that before I forgot. But yeah, I think things are looking a lot better, at least for our end. But our friends down in the Central America area, it's going to be rough. There are a lot of flooding. It's a storm that's going to be slowing down too. So the main threat there's going to be rain. It's not going to be some big bad hurricane like Loteco is going to be. So luckily, the intensity models have calmed down significantly, at least from that standpoint. But still, I mean, if you're listening to this, if you're on the replay live or shit on the podcast feed, hopefully you guys do well in there because you guys are going to get a ton of rain. That's going to be a very wet system. Then it'll eventually move over to my area here in Florida as the front kind of moves in, and it's going to pick it up, and all that moisture is going to come over here, which is in a sense not bad because we do have neither rain. It's actually been pretty dry up here for a little bit. But yeah, just a little update there. We should be fine. Should be good to go for next week's shows. Don't think we'll have to move some stuff around. Missouri, South Carolina. This is an interesting game to me. South Carolina, both these teams are ranked. Both these teams, at least according to Elijah Drinkwitz, Missouri's still a playoff team. Are they? Are they a playoff team? Are they a team that can get into the 12-team playoff? Personally, I do not believe so. Vegas kind of agrees. It's a minus 13.5. South Carolina, no surprise. The power rating world has South Carolina well into the top 15. Like in the list of 1 through 25, they're in the 15 to the 10 to 15 range, which makes sense. They're a team that is also in takeoff mode. They are surging. Laura Sellers is playing well. Shane Beamer, what a heck of a job he's doing up there. Man, I mentioned this a couple weeks ago after he beat Texas A&M, after they beat Texas A&M. Like, what an amazing career he's had there. I mean, he beat Tennessee's top 10 team, beat Clemson, now Texas A&M. So 3 top 10 teams he's beaten so far. No other coach there, I think, except Seatsburg has done that. So Will Muschamp couldn't do it. Lou Holtz, I don't think, did it. Who knows? Maybe some guy in the 1940s did it. When they were in the ACC, by the way, fun fact, they used to be in the ACC. Now they're one of the quote-unquote newer teams. We're a new team for a little bit, but obviously now you think of South Carolina, you go, oh, yeah, the SEC. Also, fun fact, too, in the power ratings world, they're above all the teams in the ACC. So they would actually be favored to win the conference, to win the ACC, and they play Clemson, too. So that's kind of a little fun, a little piece of trivia there. Like Josh P brought it up the other day, and I didn't realize that, but yeah, that actually probably would be favored. How about that? This to me feels like South Carolina's time to shine. Again, they're in team and takeoff mode. Missouri, again, look, no offense to Elijah Drinkwitz. Look, he's a good coach there. He's done well there. He was a very successful coach at App State. Former Malzahn assistant, I believe, was there at the 2010 or 2013 teams when they made it to the national championship at Auburn. So he knows he's been around success. He's been a very successful coach. This year team, Missouri team, to me has just been sloppy. Injuries, obviously, that doesn't help. You lose Cody Schrader to the draft. The whole Luther Burden thing. I know Cover 3's brought this up. I think Josh Bates also brought it up as well. There's been some friction there, especially towards the last year of the whole NIL stuff. And apparently Luther was just, I don't know all the details, but it just seems like there is some weird stuff going on there with him. Attitude problem. Just doesn't sound like it's a very well-oiled team. Now, look, they're 7-2, and that win over Oklahoma last week. By the way, just a stupid game. Not the presentation, by the way. Like, the SEC Network presentation was fine. Cole Kubiak was there. Jordan Rogers was there. Tom Hart was there. The game itself wasn't... The broadcast was not stupid. It was just... The game was stupid. A lot of dumb things happened. Definitely felt like a Maction game or a Big 12 game or like an ACC game. Just very weird. Stupid. A lot of dumb things happened. And Missouri found a way to win the game. So they're 7-2. Again, according to Coach Shrink, their playoff hopes are still alive, though contrary to popular belief, they're probably not. I love South Carolina in this game. So again, the Vegas line, minus 13.5. Now the college football, the college football nerds model, those guys over there, it's the model I use. It's a public model too. You can, like I mentioned before, you can sign up there, you can use it, just need your email. That's all you need. They don't call you or anything, they don't show up to your house. Their model actually has South Carolina or Missouri actually covering. So it's minus 11.5. So a little bit lower. So I guess released in the same ballpark. But then again, I look at South Carolina. They're surging. Lenore Stars is playing really well. Rocket Sanders is playing really, really well. Missouri can be had on, especially on running the football. Alabama did it, and Alabama's been having a lot of trouble running the football this year. And they were able to run on them. I'm pretty sure a South Carolina team surging at the right time in takeoff mode can also do that. And I think they will do it. I think they win. I think they cover. I know Coach Drinks and that Missouri media department is, if they're watching the show, hi. Don't hate you guys. But I'm pretty sure, man, if they win this game, they'll definitely use this audio against me. I know they will. They've done it before with other prominent shows. Luckily, we're not popular yet. But I guarantee you in about 5 years or so when we will be popular, hopefully, they will use this audio. They will find my show and they will use it against me in a hype video or in a social media post. Look, I've been around marketing teams before and internships. They love that stuff, and they just feed off of it. During my undergrad, I entered, by the way, at a university I went to, their alumni association. They pay attention to that type of stuff, especially when they can use it. So yeah, South Carolina, I think they win. I think they cover. Fully agree with the FanDuel number here, minus 13.5. I love it. Wouldn't necessarily say it would be a best bet if I was betting, but then again, like I mentioned, us using the FanDuel number is not enticing you to bet. It is just for prediction purposes. Some people say they claim purposes, the plural purposes per pi. This is some people, but it's purposes to me. I think that sounds a little bit too weird. Again, Josh Pate, if you're listening to this, I know you love putting I at the end of a lot of things, make it plural. Like, it doesn't work. It works some of the time. I know chalice sounds a lot better than chalice or chalices, but does fish eye sound better than fish? Just me. So hopefully Pate realizes that you can't always put I to something and make it plural. It works for certain things, but it doesn't work for a lot of things. Like, it works for chalices, and that kind of makes sense. Chali. Perp eye to me just sounds weird. Fish eye, I don't know what would you do for that. Chair eye, like laptop eye, like, so putting I on the end of every single item doesn't work. Hopefully you know that. And I agree with Josh on a lot of things, but I disagree with the putting I in and saying, oh, this works for everything plural. Josh, it doesn't work. If you're listening to this, buddy, I'm sorry. I mean, I don't know you personally, but I'm a big fan of your show. That doesn't work. That doesn't work. So what, you call a phone eye? You call a box eye? You call a microphone eye, or whatever? I'm just having fun, but man, that's just one of the things I disagree with him. Putting I on the end of something and making it plural, again, works for certain things, doesn't work for a lot of things. I think he's a little bit misguided in that. I'm going to take another drink of water here, and we got a very interesting segment here. Brent Brennan, hot seat. What's up with that? He just got there. I know. Crazy. By the way, if you're live, again, welcome in. if you're new here again, subscribe. The subscription bell, or not, well, the bell is next to the subscribe button. Somewhere down there in the YouTube video, it's somewhere down there on the bottom. Click it, subscribe. Again, nothing happens. I won't call you, show up to your house, don't bother you or anything. You just know, you just get easier instant access to the show. It's on your subscriber feed. It's there instantly. You have to go search for it. While you're at it, like the videos and like the streams as well. Gets us notoriety, helps us with the YouTube algorithm, and just a lot of fancy analytical stuff. Again, as someone who's interned at a lot of different places, especially with marketing places, that's pretty important. Making sure you emphasize subscribing, liking videos, making sure you share the videos as well. Again, I know we're fairly new to streaming on YouTube. We've been doing this on Spotify for over 50, actually at 50 episodes. Because today is our 50th episode, as I mentioned earlier. I don't know why I forgot that, but yeah. Happy 50th to us. No party for us. I mean, our reward is doing a show live. Brent Brennan, a lot of talk about him. What's up with that? Hot seat rumors going around, a lot of stuff going on. So if you don't know what I'm talking about, you may think to yourself, okay, Brent Brennan in Arizona, yeah, he just got there, and yeah, it's been a bad season, but why is he on the hot seat? Well, first of all, sort of how did he get here? So last year, Arizona goes 10-3, beats Oklahoma in the Alamo Bowl. Noah Fifita and Tanon McMillan have a great season, right? The best quarterback, wide receiver combo in the country. Totally agree with you. I was very excited to see what this team would have done. Then comes Nick Saban retiring from Alabama. Starts a whole chain reaction. He leaves, the Bama job's open. Kellen DeBoer at Washington leaves, take the Bama job. Washington's open. Jeff Fish, Arizona, goes and takes the Washington job. That job opens up Arizona. Brent Brennan at San Jose State, very good. He's a former assistant, I believe, at Arizona. I believe, is he alumni or not? I don't think so. I believe he did. He did coach there at one point, but I don't know if he is alumni or not. Anyway, the Arizona job opens, and Brent Brennan takes it. And then they hire who they hire. I believe is it the former Navy coach there, Nina Chololo, whatever his name is. So they fill that just so anyway. The cycle is there complete. So Brent Brennan arrives there. Nobody really leaves, and McMillan and Vita stay behind. A lot of fight there. A lot of people believe they could be competing for the Big 12 championship game, up into including me, unfortunately. This season has not gone the way it went. It's been pretty bad. Just for the record. So they start out, the game against New Mexico was give up 30, almost 40 points. Northern Arizona, not very inspiring. The Kansas State game, Rancho was actually a non-conference game, but it's against a fellow Big 12 opponent. But just because of the whole scheduling thing, it was just to keep it the way it is, I guess. They beat Utah, so it seems like things are getting back on track after that stinker against Kansas State. It's been pretty bad. They have not won a game since September 28th, and they lost to UCF this past week, and a team that's also been very disappointing, in my opinion, just as equally disappointing. They lost 56-12. So that's for the most part up until that game. Most of the games were, at least in this losing streak, have been most part pretty competitive, right? I mean, at Colorado, BYU, West Virginia was sort of close. Texas Tech was close. So I guess some of those Indian camp explains, okay, BYU is a good team. Colorado is a good team. Oh, haha, cool. This loss to ECF changed a lot of people. And this was a couple weeks ago, too. So they were on a bye this week. So obviously, you have the game which you had. Or you had a result you have a result like you had, and then you have a bye week. So of course, the toxicity level there in Tucson has been up, off the charts. And I guess when I started hearing is I didn't really think much about it, because when I heard it from like the casual Arizona fans, like, okay, they're just frustrated. It's been a tough year, transitional year. Yes, there was a lot of hope and stuff with Fifita and McMillan come back, that there was a lot more hope to do stuff. It's been a lost season. Okay, whatever. But then this comes yesterday, I believe, or was it yesterday? Let me go double check. So this was actually yesterday. So Jason Scheer, he's one of the beat writers for Arizona, the Wildcat Authority and the Wildcat Scoop podcast. He's one of the co-hosts there. He posted this yesterday, so he knows what he's talking about. And he mentioned this. He sort of addressed the rumors. You go all over the internet, man. You can find like the Reddit page, and there's a whole Reddit thread about Brent Brennan and the concern level from the fan base. So clearly the fans are concerned. But then this is interesting. So what Jason points out here, he brings it up because again, he's a beat writer. He's obviously pretty well qualified. This is his tweet he put out yesterday. Quote, "There's a lot of rumors regarding Brent Brennan's job status. Friday's game could be big for various reasons if those rumors are true." End quote. So I think that's coming directly from him. He's a beat writer. And when I saw that yesterday and the fact that he actually addressed it, that to me got me a little concerned. Now, you guys know me if you've been listening to this for a while, but obviously we're not on YouTube now, so we have to re-explain this. I'm not the first person to call out someone's job. I'm not like that. I don't dive into the whole hot seat rumor stuff unless it's true, unless there's some credence to it. And in this case, it kind of seems like there is. And I'm not someone, again, it's kind of weird talking about someone's job. And Josh Payne and I that's the one thing I do agree with him about, is that I don't like talking about someone's job security. It's kind of weird. It's like, I don't know, like when you're rooting for someone to lose their job. Yes, the buyout money and stuff and everything these days, it's like they're going to be fine. But still, they love college football just like we do as fans. And it's their job. It's like, what, you don't want them to do something they love to do? But I say all that to say, the fact that Jason Scheer put this out, and it's from a pretty, from what I believe, a pretty credible source, that this is kind of real. And that Friday's game against Houston, by the way, is who they play next. It's tomorrow. And a Houston team, by the way, Willie Fritz, getting some confidence here. They beat Kansas State. They're also coming off a bye as well, so both teams are rested. And so luckily, at least for Arizona, this losing streak can end. This one's interesting to me. So I think some of the problems a lot of people have with Brandon, at least the way the season's being handled, the reason why he's on the hot seat is because of this season. Again, there is so much hype going this year, coming off of last year. Yes, there was a coaching transition, so generally you expect some things to sort of slide back a little bit. But you have, Tam McMillan come back. You have Noah Fafita. Most of the guys in the portal who could have left and followed Jet Fish didn't leave. They're all still there. And look, Brent Brennan's not stupid. He's not an idiot. He didn't get dumb overnight. This was just a lost season. It's not worked out. Fafita has completely regressed. Obviously, he's not going to be a pro player. I mean, everyone, I think, can obviously see that. He has struggled. I think based on expectation and the way things have gone, there's warrant to be concerned. There certainly is. Obviously, the big reason why I don't think there will be a firing here is because of Arizona's financial situation. Not good. There's a lot of things there. Now, obviously, you can bring up the argument. When I saw this on Twitter, someone said, "Well, yeah, they have boosters." Sure, I can get water from my refrigerator. Cool. That's kind of obvious. But because of where college football is, with the whole timing and everything, if Arizona, if this job were to hypothetically open, would a reasonable candidate be available? I don't know. Again, because of the playoff stuff, if you're looking at a candidate who's coaching the playoff, either head coach, assistant coach, you're going to have to wait. So, and not to mention too, it's a year one coach. Again, this to me just feels incredible that a year one head coach, yes, it's a lost season, and yes, you had a lot of talent coming in, and it's been disappointing. But it's like Brandon got there 2 minutes ago. Like he's like, what he's expecting to do? Go 15-0, beat every single team, 10 million to nothing. That was never going to happen. Okay, that's to me the thing. A lot of these fans have to understand is that whenever you get a new coach in, it's going to take some time. Yes, you can get what you got with Ole Miss and Lane Kiffin, or Sonny Dykes at TCU. Which, by the way, coaches like Sonny Dykes and coaches like Gus Malzahn at Auburn, their first years, those to me are the outliers in most cases. Them, Lincoln Riley, Ryan Day, and I guess Kellen DeBoer in Alabama, those are the outliers. Those are coaches who inherited either good overall situations or good roster situations. Like Gus Malzahn at Auburn in 2013 inherited a okay roster. Those are guys he recruited. Those are somewhat talented guys. Yes, some guys didn't necessarily pan out. Yes, they had, of course, Gene Chizik and some of the decisions he made, but it wasn't a total, like a complete enough to rebuild. Yes, them getting a national championship was great, but it's sort of, I don't know how to really explain it, but it kind of, it gives you false hope. It gives you false expectations. There you go. Those are words. So it gives you false expectations, at least for anyone, not just Auburn fans, not just TCU fans, that, hey, when we get our first year guy, it's going to be, oh man, sunshine and rainbows, we get the national championship. No, it's not. Hugh Freeze at Auburn, classic example. Just because you walk into a place as a first year head coach and you use the portal and you turn over the roster as best as your ability, it doesn't always work. Josh Pate talked about it all the time. It's entry point. And I grant you, yes, Arizona was somewhat talented. There's talent there to be had. But maybe the entry point there wasn't good enough. Maybe it wasn't what you thought it was. Maybe there was some division in the locker room. Maybe there was some players there who Brent Brennan probably looked at and said, maybe these aren't the pieces I necessarily need to be successful. That could be the case. Again, Brent Brennan's not a friend of the program, nor are any of the assistant coaches there. I'm just saying, like Josh Pate said, it's always been an entry point. It's what you take over. Was the Arizona roster a roster that you would assume would win the Big 12? Kind of. Yes, there's talent there. Did they have the depth there? Did they have the recruiting on top of recruiting? Did Jett Vish sort of build towards a one-year team, not a program? Then he leaves and he takes over Washington. So again, there's a lot of things there that you don't know about that maybe maybe could factor into him getting fired, maybe not. Personally, I don't think there is. I think this reporting here is kind of crazy, but look, whatever happens there happens. If he gets fired, then okay, sucks for him. It's something that I don't like seeing happening or don't like to see. But the fact that a actual beat writer brought this up, and it isn't just him either, it isn't just Jason Shear, it's beginning to get more traction. That a lot of folks are very concerned, and this is something that, again, I didn't really foresee this happening, but I saw this over there. I'm like, wow, this is actually kind of real. So, at least I guess it is real. So again, we'll see what happens. Again, I don't advocate for guys getting fired. I'm certainly not here for Brent Brennan, but boy, this is it seems real to me. There's real danger here that he may not be back. He may not be back next year. And to end this real quick here before we move on, it also doesn't help too that Kenny Dillingham and Arizona State are surpassing them. They've kind of started to get some separation there. Doesn't sound like recruiting has been going very well for Arizona too. So that's another factor. So maybe it's just buyer remorse. Maybe it just wasn't meant to be what it was and whatnot. So again, I would much rather hope that Brent Brennan doesn't get fired. I would hope that. I can't guarantee it, but it's obviously real enough for beat writers to start talking about it. So that surprised me a little bit. But again, people wanted this to be like the NFL, and this is like the NFL. Coaches get fired a lot of times in the NFL after 1 year. Go ask the Cleveland Browns that. Go ask Denver Broncos that about Nathaniel Hackett. Again, it's not an NFL show, but I'm just telling you, there's some legitimacy to it, or not legitimacy. There's some analogs to it in the NFL, but in college, very rare to see a first-time legitimate, not even interim too. Like, this is not Zach Arnett, Mississippi State, who was interim head coach who just got the head coach promotion. No, this is a purely brand new head coach who got hired by someone elsewhere, and he's in real trouble. So, and I haven't scandaled too. This is just based on performance. I mean, I thought he was safe, but guess not. So we'll see. That's something that we're monitoring, I guess. I guess so. I'm gonna move on here. Getting there, drinking water here. Got some Marvel Star Wars. I won't linger on those too much. Marvel mainly just trailers. Star Wars, a new trilogy, supposedly coming from the guy who worked on the X-Men, Simon Kinberg. So we'll touch on that. Gonna get some water real quick here again. We've been going for close to an hour, so we're going to try to wrap this up a little bit too quickly. I don't want to go for too much longer. Trying to preserve the voice. So a couple of days ago, or this weekend, D23 Brazil was going on. That's the Disney's own convention. Obviously, Marvel and Star Wars are a part of that. And of course, we got some new footage. By the way, got some footage from Andor. Not going to touch that here. There's really not much there to discuss. Same with Skeleton Crew, and no real footage from the Mandalorian movie either. So nothing really there. But for Marvel, they released a new trailer for Captain America: Brave New World and Thunderbolts. Thunderbolts 1 was a bit surprising because we literally just got a trailer I guess it kind of makes sense, but still, that movie is still like more than 6 months away. So, okay. Strange to release a trailer already, even though we just got one like 4 months ago, but whatever. Saw both of them. Captain America one makes sense because that movie's actually coming out here pretty soon. Both of those trailers are interesting. First, I'll start out with Captain America, probably the best one we've seen. First, got the first look at Harrison Ford's Red Hulk. Cool. Looks cool, very accurate to the comics. To a certain extent, a lot of folks are mad about the mustache being taken out or not being included, but is what it is. Cool. At least they got the effects look pretty decent. Very accurate to the comics too. Of course, of Red Hulk. Difference between him and the regular Hulk is that when he gets mad, like his body starts to heat up. So when when Ross, Harrison Ford's President Ross starts, hulking out, his hands like burning like the foam or whatever on the stage. Pretty accurate to the comics. Got some audio too from Tim Blake Nelson as the leader, returning from the Ed Norton Incredible Hulk movie. So that's cool. Haven't seen what he looks like yet, which got me a little bit concerned because it makes me wonder if Marvel's hiding him for some reason because it doesn't look good or they're still working on it. So look into that how you will. I have my own thoughts on that. I just mentioned. But yeah, kind of strange I haven't showed him yet. Of course, watch us not see anything and then we get like a leaked footage from it, like a weird like iPhone potato quality footage of it before it comes out. So again, hopefully they do like another third trailer or whatever and they finally reveal it. But it's kind of weird that they're hiding it. I don't know why they're hiding it, but anyway, who knows? Maybe they're just hiding it just to have the theater of the mind type of thing where it's, leaving you to believe what it looks like, or maybe they're afraid of what it looks like. So again, who knows? Personally, I'm a little bit concerned, but who knows? I could be wrong. Maybe they're just doing it for a marketing tactic, but makes you wonder. But cool action scenes. Again, you got Sam Wilson's Captain America. Obviously, they haven't fully revealed it, but it's kind of obvious. It's the Celestial from the Eternals movie that's in the Indian Ocean that was rising up but got stopped. It's there now, and they're finally addressing it. Just overall looks kind of cool. Definitely has Winter Soldier vibes to it. But then again, like I mentioned back in the summer, you can say that, and this is one of my problems or worries of the movie, not to mention the plot leaks that have been around. I'll address those in just a second. But one of the reasons why I'm worried about this movie is that they mentioned this Winter Soldier vibe, and that's cool in itself. Because look, I like Captain America: Winter Soldier. That's a good movie. Again, that's the one that ironically introduced Sam Wilson. That's the one with Chris Evans, Scarlett Johansson. That little, I guess would you call it like a duo? I guess that duo worked really well. I think probably the best movie she's been in, Johansson, in any of the movies. I think that's her best performance, I believe. At least to my opinion, I think it's one of the better ones she's had. She had when she was doing it. But when you talk about Winter Soldier, yes, I like the movie. It's got good vibes to it. And of course, it's got, some very 70s political thriller. Obviously, you have Robert Redford, who was in, I believe, was it All the President's Men, I believe. So that's a clear reference there. But you say and you want that vibe there. And look, I'm glad they're at least trying to get that vibe back. But what makes me worried is that you said that about Falcon Winter Soldier, and you also said that about Secret Invasion. And both of those shows were just gross and were not good. So should I continue to believe that you're going to continue trying to get to that point or get back to that, level of quality? Or should I be worried about it? Because the last two projects, you used that, Winter Soldier-esque label, they were not good enough. So which one should I believe? Should I believe you guys are rounding into form and this is actually, you're going to actually execute a Winter Soldier type vibe of this movie? Or is it going to be another poor execution and it's just another cringy version of it? So which one should I believe? I don't know. A little concerned about that. Not to mention the plot leaks that have come out. I'm not going to touch those on here because I would, but it's going to take a while to get, because it's literally a long Reddit page. But they're out there if you want to know what they are. But they certainly don't sound good. It's apparently been testing pretty poorly. They've been doing reshoots. Obviously, they added in Giancarlo Esposito as Sidewinder, the Serpent Society guy. Still can't believe they're actually including them in the movie. I thought they took out the characters in the movie, but they're not. Much to my chagrin, because I think those characters in general, it's like they're B-level characters. Like, okay, not really characters even the core Marvel nerds really care about, but whatever. you do you, I guess. But yeah, the reshoots, the test stuff has apparently not been good enough. Apparently, the plot leak sounds kind of cringy in my opinion, just the way it looks on paper. Now, look, it can sound like that, but then we see the movie and actually turns out it's actually not a bad idea that they have. But I don't know, just worried about that movie. Very concerned, though also kind of cautiously optimistic a little bit, I guess. Kind of weird. So I'm both optimistic, but I'm also worried. So it's kind of a weird mixture there. But we also got footage from for Thunderbolts as well. Again, like I mentioned, kind of surprised the movie's not coming out until, is it May? Because I thought it was coming out in July or August, but I guess they moved it up again. Maybe I just forgot. But yeah, they showed us more footage of it. It's like a 3-minute long preview. They confirm that Julie Louise Dreyfus, I believe that's who it is. She's Elaine from Seinfeld. She was in Captain America: Falcon Winter Soldier. Not the movie, not the other movie, but yeah, she was in the Falcon Winter Soldier show. She shows up. Obviously, it's revealed that she buys Avengers Tower, or at least it confirms it. That was kind of obvious in the first trailer that it's the case. The vibe looks pretty cool. Again, there's some interesting characters here. Again, got the guy David Harbour from Stranger Things. Cool, he's back. Florence Pugh's back. I think her character Yelena is one of the better new characters they brought in. You have Ghost from Ant-Man 2. That's cool. I haven't seen her in like 5 years or so. So okay. Taskmaster. Gross. I didn't think that character was really executed that well. Not for other reasons, but just from someone who knows of the character in the comics. It's very different, and I just didn't think it was executed very well. Maybe they do the character justice here, at least this version of it. Obviously, you have Sebastian Stan coming back. So it looks good. The footage looks good. Obviously, some of the leaks have not sounded that good. Of course, forgot to mention, they also have Sentry, who they have not fully revealed yet. So then again, it's like the leader. It's like, should I be worried about how Sentry looks, or is it just them saving him just to keep people interested in the marketing? So I guess whether it's one of the two or both. So I mean, look, it looks good. The trailers look good. I know, which is kind of weird. And again, this goes back to another thing about Marvel doing B-level characters and whatnot. At least that's been part of the problem for them. Should probably do a segment about Marvel's issues. I know I've done a segment about that back in the summer, but since we're on YouTube now, I'll probably shoot a refresher on that. Maybe we'll do that in March or whatever, or probably before. Probably more likely before we get Captain America when that comes out, probably. But I have to remind myself about that. But anyway, one of the problems I have about Marvel recently is just the fact we're doing B-level characters. Like I had someone up here this weekend, a buddy of mine, who we were watching the college football games, and of course, since it's ABC and Disney and whatnot, of course, they are able to show footage of upcoming Marvel products, right? And they showed footage of the Thunderbolts for some reason. I don't know why, because again, that movie's not coming out for a while, but I guess they've already started marketing for it. So that ad pops up for it, and it shows footage of it, and the person who was next to me who mentioned it goes, the Thunderbolts, who the fuck are these people? That's the problem. I just don't think a lot of people care about or know who these characters are, because again, like you go to a normal person, or at least, well, not a normal person, but someone who is a comic sicko like me. And then again, this is someone who, the person who was with me, was someone who was invested in the Marvel movies, but lately they have not been for various reasons. Much similar to me, just because the quality's not been good enough. And they saw the ad for Thunderbolts, and they were just like, who the heck are these people? Like, who are they? I don't know who they are. This looks stupid. That's the problem, is that Marvel is doing characters or projects based on characters people don't know who they are. The general public. Now, us as, sickos and sweaties and whatnot, whatever term we want to use, we know who the Thunderbolts are. They, in the comics, they're led by Norman Osborn, Green Goblin, Dark Avengers. And also, the name comes from Thunderbolt Ross, who, by the way, in the movie, according to the leaks, that's not where the name's coming from. It's coming from a different source, supposedly from Yelena's soccer team or whatever. I guess that's what it is. If that's the case, then that's kind of lame. Very different from the comics. Now, granted, you probably not a big deal, but as someone who knows the origin from the comics, it's like, man, really, you're going that route? Kind of lame. But it's just like you're doing B-level characters, projects about B-level characters that no one knows about. Like, I think the thing, and Josh over at Den of Nerds has mentioned this before, and I agree with him. that I feel like Disney saw what James Gunn did for the Guardians and said, "Oh, we can just do what they did, what he did, right? Bring in some B level, C level, D level characters and make something out of it." And it turns out, well, A, there's no other James Gunn. There's only one James Gunn, and that doesn't always work. Like Guardians was a very rare case where a very obscure group of characters, the right combination of both actors, and you bring in the right mind like James Gunn, who's just weird in general. Well, weird in terms of he knows the comics by the back of his hand, right? Both Marvel and DC now. So obviously he works with DC now as their chief creative person, but it was just the right combination. And I think Marvel took it as a false positive. They thought, oh, we can just duplicate this and do, Kate Bishop Hawkeye and Miss Marvel and some smaller obscure characters, Eternals. Well, again, like I mentioned, there's no other James Gunn, and plus, you're using Guardians as a false positive. Just because it worked one time doesn't mean it's not going to work a second time. Now, again, you can say that with hindsight being 2020, as we know what the results are, and they're not been good enough based on the projects those characters are involved in. So, or we can also look at it and say, well, yes, they've not hit. Maybe you can mention it being poor execution. So, again, hopefully with Marvel, again, they're pivoting to more popular people like Doctor Doom and Fantastic Four. So, we just got to get through. If you're a Marvel fan who's still around, still surviving, we just got to get through this early 2020s thinking slop. And I will be out of it soon. Agatha, I guess, was another example of that too, where Wonder Man, same thing, like no one knows who that is. It's just Marvel doing C-list characters who no one really knows about, and they just believe, oh yeah, James Gunn worked wonders of the Guardians, we'll just do that just without him. Well, like I mentioned, there's only one James Gunn, and not to mention the execution's been pretty cringy, and it's a number of things, but yes, while I think the footage for both movies were pretty good, I still have concerns about it. I still have my apprehensiveness about them. Could be wrong. Could go into February and watching, Captain America: Brave New World, and I can walk out of the theater going, man, this was a good movie. Or I could be wrong. So there's that. Real quick here, the Star Wars news came out last week about who was it? Why did I forget the name? I just mentioned it. Oh yeah, the Simon Kinberg, the guy who did the Fox X-Men movies, like Dark Phoenix. He directed that movie. By the way, horrible movie. What is it? Just something with that Dark Phoenix storyline. They can never get done right. They did it with X-Men Last Stand. Ugh. Dark Phoenix. Ugh. Just gross, horrible movie. Apparently, I didn't watch it because I heard a lot of bad things about it even before it came out. So I decided not to watch it. So you're bringing in, of course, the guy who made his directorial debut in Dark Phoenix and made a horrible impression to Star Wars. And by the way, like I mentioned a couple weeks ago, that Josh and Dev Nerds theorized or believed that the Rey movie trilogy stuff was real. And then, yet again, here we go. It's been confirmed. Apparently, they are doing a new trilogy with Rey, bringing back Daisy Ridley. Once again, sort of doubling down the sequel stuff. I said it a couple weeks ago when I talked about the Rey movie stuff that, well, again, a lot of the stuff is outside of Daisy Ridley's control, and it's not. It's not her fault that the movie sucked, or those movies, this relates to Last Jedi and Rise of Skywalker, sucked. It's not her fault. It's the creatives behind the scenes, and the studio politics gone the way, and a lot of other things happened, and it was just cringy execution. There's no wrong, nothing about it. And I think for a lot of people, Star Wars fans who are still supportive of the brand, would want Disney to not focus on those, double down on them, and move on to different things like the Mandoverse. At least try to right the ship there. At least they're doing some cool stuff with like Thrawn and the Ahsoka stuff. But the fact that they are once again, I guess, doubling down on the Rey stuff and sequel trilogy content. On the one hand, yes, from a storytelling standpoint, where you left off, obviously that's the next stepping up point, right? But on the other side, it's okay. You have the fan base who's completely divided. A large portion of the fan base doesn't care for the sequel stuff. A lot of folks would like you to not focus on that, but too much of their chagrin, it seems like you're doubling down on it. So, look, I'm going to give it a chance. Maybe there were some smart people there. Look, Simon Kinberg's not dumb. I believe I know he worked on Rebels, Star Wars Rebels. I don't think he did Rogue One. I don't think he did. Yeah, I don't think he did, but I know he did work on Rebels. Which look, for someone who wasn't interested in the show and refused to watch it for a while until one of my buddies convinced me to. Look, it's not a bad show. It's not something I would distribute to all my other buddies and let them watch it, but it's not horrible. I know he worked on that show, but I don't know, just not. Look, I'll give him benefit of the doubt, but okay, you're willing to double down on pieces of content that people don't like. Look, it could work. I could be wrong on this, but the enthusiasm that I'm gauging from the fan base is not sounding good right now. So we'll see. Look, I'm still a Star Wars fan. I'm not leaving the fandom. I still buy the merchandise. I still support what they're doing. I support what Filoni and them are doing. I would like to see better leadership there, at least more common sense there, at least more organizational leadership, but it's not there right now. It's a bit of all over the place, but well, is what it is. As we wrap up the show here, by the way, the college football Marvel Star Wars talk is over, by the way, so we're diving into Buccaneers stuff. So if you're not a Buccaneers fan or not an NFL fan or both, you can check out. We'll see you guys next week. Enjoy the games. If you're not, going to go quick drink of water here, and then we will touch on Buccaneers and midseason checkup. Man, bottles of water, especially during podcasts, really, especially long form, especially when it's live too, because we are live on the air, on YouTube, and we're on Spotify right now, and it's lucky enough to have a bottle of water with me. Keeps the voice going, so it doesn't go out or anything and whatnot. And we're surviving here. How long have we been going for now? I haven't checked. An hour and 11 minutes. Okay, not too bad. But we have Buccaneers midseason checkup to go into. Just at the bye week right now for the Buccaneers. They're 4-6. Figured with the bye week in a good spot. This has worked out this year. Figured, let's dive into it. Let's do a midseason checkup. Approval ratings for both the offense, defense. Offensive coordinator Liam Cohn and head coach Todd Bowles. So far, the Buccaneers, if you've not been keeping track, started out 4-2, much like last year. Very, very good. Beat the Saints, blowout win. Again, I was after Hurricane Milton. Ever since October 13th, it's been over a month since you've won a game. It's been L. Competitive games. Baltimore was semi-competitive. Falcons game was also very competitive. Chiefs game, very competitive. San Francisco, again, very competitive. Record, by the way, exact same as this point last year. So you're kind of on track to, have very similar seasons to last year. I'm not going to say it's been disappointing because, again, you look at how you started. Again, you beat a pretty good Washington team. You were the only team that has beaten the Lions, which is insane to really say. Just to mention how much separation has become of these two teams and how different both seasons that went. Bucs have struggled. Lions, despite their flaws, have been surging a little bit. Only team to beat them so far. Same with the Eagles too. Like, you're one of the few teams. It's kind of weird. It's like Tampa's resume through 6 weeks was one of the best resumes in the NFL. Very good, right? Then you look at the season so far. It's like, okay, you lose to Baltimore, no shame in that. That would have been a good resume building game. It's a AFC game, no big deal. Then you lose to the Falcons, so you lose control of the NFC South. Lose to the Chiefs, no big deal. I guess you make the argument that the refs screwed you over, but then again, you caught yourself in that position. The refs, as Josh Pate says, if you let yourself get to that position to where you are relying on the refs to win the game for you, they will break your heart. There is example A of 1 million, or example 1 of 1 million. 49ers game, again, another pretty crucial NFC game. You lost. So at this point, you are what you are. You are what you are right now. You're a team that is very, very sloppy right now. Very uneven. So you have rest of your schedule. It lines up, to say the least. Again, look, I even said it back in, the summer. This was the toughest schedule in the NFL through the first, 13 or so, 10 or so weeks. And it is. And I think you got the record which you thought you would get. At least if you, I guess if you're somewhat reasonable. Um, so, 4-6 kind of makes sense. Though I don't think you would have liked to seen the Buccaneers lose 4 straight on the bye week. Kind of last year. But I will say it does line up a little bit. Giants, bad team, though. Again, still concerned. The week of Thanksgiving, or the week before Thanksgiving, go on the road. It's New York in November. It's going to be cold. Don't think I haven't been paying attention to the weather up there. It's going to be probably pretty cold. Don't like when warm weather teams in Florida travel to cold weather environments. Don't care how bad the Giants are. That's a game I'm concerned about. Panthers game, they're okay. Raiders, Chargers, we'll see. They're a team I'm not totally sold on, but I'm not saying they're a paper tiger, but we'll see. That's maybe the hardest game on the schedule left. But I don't know. I would reason to be cautious about that one. Cowboys, and then you end with Panthers and Saints. By the way, I will be at the Saints game, so I will see them in person. That won't be Dennis Allen being the coach there. So that's kind of funny. It'll be an interim coach. So generally, after this bye week, it lines up. So there is a route, if you will, a route that Tampa could potentially finish 11-6 and go on a big winning streak, sort of like last year. That's not impossible, though I don't think it's guaranteed. I think 9-8, 8-9, 7-10, maybe more likely outcomes here. And at that point, you probably don't make it to Atlanta, or not make it to Atlanta. Sound like you're going to play them again. You don't make it to the playoffs probably because Atlanta has the tiebreakers over you, because they have the best record. At the very least, at this point, you have to look at the standings here. I mean, it's Tampa and Hunt, and they're also behind other teams like San Francisco owns a tiebreaker over you. So if you're a team that can get in the wild card route, you would want obviously the Packers to probably lose. You also want the Bears to start losing some games, and hopefully you start winning games as well. I mean, it's been pretty rough. I mean, outside of the Cowboys, you're the two worst teams in the NFC in terms of losing streaks. Them and the Giants. The Giants are also equally as bad. So at this point, again, it's been, could have been better. You would want it to be a lot better, but it's not been good. It's not been good enough. It's been a real struggle. I mean, I don't know what else to say. It's probably didn't wish you would be 4-6 losing 4 straight games. If it was 4-6 and you maybe lost one game, and it's okay, it's been a mixed bag. That's pretty good. It's not too bad. But yeah, hopefully this. Not to mention some other things have been going wrong, again, injuries and stuff. If Mike Evans going out, and obviously Chris is gone for the whole year. Hopefully now with Evans probably be back for the Giants game, so you get healthy. So generally you would expect team to be a lot better. Though we'll say, as we go into the approval ratings, the best overall grade I can give, at least for the head coach, OC, because Tampa doesn't have the DC, it's Todd Bowles. The best grade I can give out of all of them is to Liam Cohn, who's an A-. Love what I've seen from the offense. I think that's not been the problem. They've been scoring a lot of points, not been blown out in any game so far this year. Unlike last year under Dave Canales, who I like Dave Canales. I think he's a good offensive mind, and they got better as the year went along. But you haven't seen the team get blown out, which is different from last year. So at least that's good. Todd Bowles overall, C+. I guess solid. I know a lot of folks, Tampa folks, some of the guys I follow, different shows, aren't happy right now. It's been pretty rough, but I don't know if Todd's going anywhere. Tampa is usually a pretty stable place. They usually don't have a quick trigger unless things get really bad and they just don't win another game and they finish, would it be 4-13? Then maybe probably at that point you see Todd go. But then again, like I mentioned, for college football, I don't like talking about people getting fired. I don't advocate for it, which is why I'm kind of on the fence here. we'll just see what happens, right? Maybe you come out the bye week and you perform a lot better, but it's not a guarantee that you do perform better, but it's not a guarantee you don't perform better. So, Todd Bowles overall so far again the C+. I think the resume so far with beating a lot of other teams in the NFC, at least some of them, again, like the Lions, Eagles, those are pretty good teams. And a lot of folks disagree with me on that, but they're good teams despite their flaws. And the Commanders too. So you have some good wins, but you also have some losses to teams you're equal to. So with that Todd Bowles game, that feels not the case. Your resume is a lot worse. I'll probably give Todd a worse grade, but I think a C+ is pretty accurate. Again, Liam Cohn, A-. Offense, B+. Pretty solid. A lot of mistakes. Turnover has been a problem for Baker lately, though. The last 2 games, he's not been a pick, so, man, that's good. Golf clap for Baker. Defense, again, similar to Todd Bowles, is great. It's a C+. Not been good enough. In fact, this is probably his worst defensive unit so far this year. It has not been good enough. Disappointing. Yes, I know there's been a lot of turnover there with new players being around, injuries and stuff with Jamel Dean, and you lose guys like Carlton Davis, but it's a unit I thought would be a lot better, but it's not been. You've had some good individual players. Vita Vea comes to mind, and Clyde Johansson comes to mind. Anton Winfield's been okay this year. I think one of the best safeties in all of football, both college and NFL. But I guess overall of the season, yeah, I give it a C+. Thought there would be a little bit better. But then again, like I've been mentioning, you've been able to navigate a fairly tough schedule, toughest schedule in the NFL, I think. Now you get a fairly more reasonable route here. So there's a chance that Tampa could right the ship here, literally. They have a pirate ship in the stadium. They could potentially get this thing back on route, and maybe you see them maybe going a bit of a win streak like last year, and they explode, and they sort of get into takeoff mode. Or this could be a team that's in dissension mode, and they are on quit watch. Power just went out here for just a second. I don't know what happened. Just make sure we're still live here. Should probably check on YouTube. But yeah, we just had a power flicker. I don't know what's that about. Very strange here. If you're listening to this on the replay, this doesn't matter, but yeah, we literally just had the power go out for a second. No tropical storms here. Maybe it's JEA or whatever doing something stupid or whatever. Done that before. But ironically, that's the end of the segment. So if the show ended, it didn't matter. It wasn't going to matter. According to the live stream here on YouTube, we're still live. Let me check the audio real quick. Yeah, we're still on. So just ignore that on the replay. I don't, maybe some stupid GAA thing. But anyway, we're getting out of here. Again, if you're new here, again, make sure you subscribe, like the videos, like the, technically streams. Subscribe. Follow on YouTube, podcast feed, Twitter. Make sure you do that. We'll be back next week on Tuesday again with the tropical system. I think we'll be okay. I don't believe we'll be moving any shows around. I think we'll feel good about it. But if things change, I'll let you guys know on the socials in between now and then. If any coaching changes happen, any moves happen, maybe we'll do an emergency pod like we did for Billy Napier. Like if Brent Brennan for some reason has to be relieved of his duties on Sunday, maybe we'll do something breaking in the evening. But I don't think we will. So next time you'll see me, it'll be next Tuesday. If not, if there's any coaching moves, could be earlier. So that's probably something you'll start doing, especially with these media moves. But so enjoy the weekend. Enjoy the rest of your week. Enjoy the games. Until next time, I'll see you guys on Tuesday. Until then, take care.